The sky above Nevada fractured into veins of purple lightning. It wasn't weather. This storm shimmered unnaturally, each pulse synchronized with the gravitational ripples felt even underground. NORAD's early warning systems didn't see a weapon. They saw something far stranger. Commander Eli Ward stood still on the tarmac of the Blackridge landing zone, his boots planted beneath the cold stars, face upturned. 20 years in first contact diplomacy, 10 years on alien battlefronts. Nothing had prepared him for what was descending now. The ship didn't land. It settled, like a living creature exhaling its final breath. Metal panels folded back, revealing an interior of woven light and organic architecture. From the heart of the ship, a single figure emerged, tall, regal, and absolutely alien. She wore no crown, yet the weight of royalty radiated from her. Her skin shimmered like obsidian dipped in flame, eyes glowing with a molten orange hue. Her breath steamed in the earth air. Her voice when it came was velvet, and dangerous. "I've come for the one who stirred the throne blood. The human who gave me a taste." Eli didn't flinch. "That would be me." The Queen of Zerli turned to him with deliberate grace, lips parting slightly, not with interest, not with lust, but with need. Her gaze burned through armor and fear alike. Inside the alien vessel, silence hummed with tension. Eli had never seen a structure like this. The ship was not built, it was grown, pulsing with faint bioluminescence. The air smelled like electric honey and scorched jasmine. Living walls responded to the Queen's presence, parting before her like obedient subjects. "I am Zelzari," she said, "last daughter of the flame-woven bloodline. I require what only you possess." He kept his voice steady. "If this is about procreation." She laughed. It was not a kind sound. "You think I need you for offspring?" "No. What you gave me was worse." She approached slowly, her towering form both majestic and tragic. Not quite a ruler anymore, not quite a woman either. Something suspended between extinction and obsession. "Your touch, brief, accidental, during the last summit, left a scar on me. A bond. My kind should not be affected by your kind. And yet, I taste fire where there should be none." Eli remembered. A diplomatic accident, his fingers brushing hers while sealing the peace documents on Pharos 9. At the time, he felt only a chill. But to her, it had ignited something ancient. "You are dangerous," she whispered. "And I must know why." He was shown to a room, though room was a generous term. It was more like the inside of a crystal, humming with soft energy and shifting lights that responded to his emotions. The moment he touched the wall, it pulsed. "The ship listens," she said behind him. "It remembers sensations. It will know if you lie." Eli turned. "I'm not here to play games." "Neither am I," she said, stepping close. "Do you understand what it means to carry resonance with the Queen? My empire's fate is bound to mine. If I lose control, my people suffer. And what if I'm the wrong match?" Eli asked. "Then my empire falls. And I fall with it." A beat of silence. He searched her eyes for any sign of deception, but all he saw was desperation wrapped in authority. She was breaking apart under the weight of her own biology. And she hated it. "Why me?" he asked. Her answer came not with words, but with a gesture. She took his hand, slow, deliberate, and pressed his fingers against her collarbone. The skin was impossibly warm, but beneath it pulsed something deeper. Not a heartbeat. A flare. "Because your kind is fire," she said. "You ignite what others suppress. I need to burn, or I will die cold." He drew his hand back, his pulse racing. "So what happens now?" Her answer was a whisper that held galaxies in it. "Now, we test if your fire can satisfy." The door sealed shut behind her as she left. Eli exhaled slowly, trying to make sense of the emotions boiling beneath his calm. He'd faced warlords, assassins, and ambassadors with nuclear arsenals. But never had he felt this exposed. This scene. She didn't want sex. She wanted truth. and she had tasted something in him even he didn't understand. Outside the ship, Earth's military prepared fallback options. Deep in orbit, Zerli satellites blinked to life. Something more than diplomacy was happening. But Eli didn't know that yet. He was too focused on the burn left on his skin. The place her fingers had lingered. The way her eyes had said everything her mouth wouldn't. He sat in the crystalline chamber, breathing unevenly, hands shaking not from fear, but from recognition. There was a hunger inside her. And it matched something buried in him. Something long denied. Something waiting to be set on fire. The chamber pulsed with soft crimson light, shadows dancing along the curved, breathing walls. Eli stood in the center, heart pounding against his ribs like a war drum. He didn't know what this was, ritual, interrogation, or seduction, but he knew it was far from protocol. The walls sealed shut behind Queen Zelzari as she entered, this time without her ceremonial armor. She wore a second skin of living silk, each thread laced with heat-sensitive bioweave. It shimmered when she moved, catching the dim glow like starlight caught in water. "You look like you're preparing for war," Eli said. She stopped inches from him. "No, Commander. I'm preparing for truth." Her voice was steady, but the tremor beneath it betrayed something deeper. Not fear, conflict. She was used to control. But now, every step toward him loosened something ancient, sacred, and personal. "This ritual," she continued, "is called Kreth Tal. In my language, it means the unwinding. You will not be touched, not unless you ask. But you will feel me." Eli's brows furrowed. "What does that mean?" She raised a palm. A pulse of biolight surged from her chest and into the chamber walls. Instantly, the air thickened. A low hum vibrated through his bones. His memories surfaced, unbidden. His mother's funeral. The firefight on Anka 5. The smell of oil and ash after the refugee camp bombing. A child's blood on his gloves. He gasped, staggering back. "What the hell is this?" "The chamber amplifies emotional echoes," she said. "It doesn't fabricate. It reflects. You're probing my mind?" "No," she replied. "I'm exposing mine. Yours simply responded." He looked up. She was standing there, unmoving, unblinking, as tears welled in her fiery eyes. "You think humans feel too much," he said, chest heaving. "But this isn't feeling. This is drowning." Zelzari nodded slowly. "Exactly." She stepped forward, placing her hand against a vertical ridge along the chamber wall. Images rippled across the surface, memories, perhaps. A battlefield of her own. Her clutched sister dying in her arms. Her coronation. A political alliance broken by betrayal. Years of isolation. Centuries of expectation. She turned to him. "Now you know why I came." Eli swallowed hard. "Because I stirred something in you." "No," she said, voice low. "Because you survived it. You endured your own emotional collapse, and kept walking. You carry fire and shame, loss and mercy. My people forgot how to bear weight. We became cold." Eli stepped closer. "You're not here to study humans. You're here to remember how to be one." She tilted her head. "I'm not human, Eli." "No," he said. "But you're tired of being anything else." Silence fell between them, dense, charged. The chamber dimmed, sinking to their stillness. Then she spoke, softer than before. "My species does not cry. And yet, ever since you touched me, I can't stop the trembling. My chest tightens. My thoughts spiral. I lose focus. That's called anxiety. It's called feeling alive." He took a step forward, now close enough to see the strain behind her composure. "So what now? You going to burn me alive just to understand this spark?" She gave the faintest smile. "Only if you let me." He reached out slowly, brushing his fingers along her forearm, warmer than expected, pulsing with bioenergy. Her eyes widened. Her breath caught. The chamber flared with sudden light, illuminating both of them in brilliant orange. But something changed. The ship itself screamed, a mechanical shriek from deep inside its core. Alarms pulsed in waves. A panel flashed open, and an orb floated into the chamber, displaying alien glyphs Eli couldn't read. Zelzari's expression shifted. They've found me. Who? The tribunal. My council. I left without their blessing. They've come to extract me, and sever the bond. Eli's stomach dropped. Can they? Her answer was cold and immediate. Yes. And you'll die if they try. Why me? He asked again, but now it wasn't rhetorical. The Queen faced him, bare emotion cracking her mask. Because you didn't run. You didn't treat me like a weapon or a prize. You looked at me like I was real. Even when I was nothing but duty wrapped in fire. The room trembled again. You gave me a taste, she said, stepping closer. Now. I'm starving. Eli's voice dropped to a whisper. Then let's finish this on our terms. Together. The light from the orb flickered violently. Outside the ship, thunder cracked, a fleet descending from orbit. Then we have little time, she said. Once the tribunal opens the sky, they will not ask questions. They'll burn this entire valley to cauterize what I've felt. He clenched his fists. Then let's burn first. The chamber walls flared with a harsh violet hue. The steady hum of the living ship turned frantic, twitching in time with the approach of something hostile, something vast. Above them, invisible through the organic ceiling, the stars were being eclipsed by ships with no mercy in their design. Eli stood beside Queen Zelzari, his jaw tight, eyes locked on the flickering holographic display rising from the center of the room. Glyphs scrolled across it in sharp, warning bursts. Zerli's script, but even without translation, he understood. They were out of time. The tribunal fleet is here, Zelzari said, her voice a mix of fire and frost. They have one purpose, containment. And if I resist, they will treat Earth as corrupted. By me, Eli said bitterly. By us, she corrected, facing him. I broke the law when I let the bond deepen. But you gave it meaning. Eli didn't blink. Then let's give them a reason to be afraid of it. She turned to him fully now, shedding the final layer of imperial composure. No titles. No pretense. Just a woman standing at the edge of her crown's collapse, her fire barely held in check. And yet, for the first time since her arrival, she looked free. There is one chamber, she said carefully, older than this ship. A sanctuary woven into Zerli vessels for rites that cannot be spoken aloud. It doesn't accept lies. Or weakness. Eli arched a brow. And you want to take me there? She nodded once. If we step inside together, the bond will be sealed. Not political. Not physical. Existential. He didn't hesitate. Lead the way. The corridor to the inner sanctum felt alive, narrow, hot, like the throat of something ancient and breathing. The air thickened with every step. Their hands brushed once. The ship trembled. The door ahead looked less like technology and more like a living fossil, grown shut, veins of pulsing biolight tracing jagged patterns across its face. As Zelzari placed her palm against it, the wall recoiled. Opened. Inside, silence fell like gravity. The chamber was small. Circular. No lights, yet somehow it glowed, a dull ember beneath translucent panels. In the center, a dais made of liquid stone shifted like waiting skin. Once we stand there together, she said quietly, there is no going back. Eli exhaled. I didn't come this far to walk away now. She extended her hand, not as a ruler, but as an equal. He took it. The moment their feet touched the dais, the room ignited. But not with fire. With memory. Eli's thoughts ripped open. Not in chaos, but in shared reflection, his childhood laughter, the first time he held a weapon, the ache in his knees after carrying wounded through the snowfields of Reese Prime. The quiet guilt that never left. And hers came crashing in next, palace walls, cold and golden, a young girl forced to wear a title like armor, her voice dismissed, her soul shaped for duty, not desire. Moments of rebellion snuffed out before they could spark. The sanctum demanded surrender. And they gave it. Together. He collapsed to one knee, breath ragged, heart a war drum in his chest. You feel everything, she whispered, kneeling across from him. Even when it breaks you. You let everything go, he rasped. Even when it kills you. They reached for each other, not in lust, not in desperation, but in mutual unraveling. No more masks. No more walls. He pressed his forehead to hers. And the bond locked. A pulse tore through the chamber, through the ship, through the stars themselves. Outside, the approaching tribunal fleet detected the flare. Inside, the Queen's crown circuitry shattered, melting into nothing. Her status as monarch, erased. Zelzari blinked slowly, blinking back tears. I am no longer their queen, she said, voice trembling. I forfeited it the moment I let you in. Eli reached out, cupping her face. Then maybe it's time you chose who you really are. A soft light glowed beneath their joined hands, an echo of the bond, visible, resonant. For a moment, it looked like the shape of a star being born. Then alarm shrieked. The ship had been breached. They've boarded, she said, eyes going wide. But they won't kill me outright. They'll use you to break me. Eli stood calm. Then we make sure they don't get the chance. The door exploded inward. Zerali warriors poured in, armor dark as obsidian, rifles humming with anti-biological energy. But they stopped. The bond flared again, visible between the Queen and the human, a shared pulse that made the chamber walls shimmer. The lead warrior stepped forward, face hidden behind a helmed visor. Zelzari, he said. What have you done? She rose slowly, the last of her royal bearing returning, but now shaped by choice, not lineage. I have remembered what it means to feel. I have chosen resonance. I have chosen him. The warrior didn't respond. But he didn't fire either. Behind him, more soldiers arrived. Conflicted. Hesitant. Eli met their stares. Not as a soldier. Not as prey. But as the spark that lit the Queen's rebellion. If this is the end, he said to her quietly, then we end it as we began. Together. No, she said, taking his hand. This isn't the end. She looked at her people, at the warriors frozen between duty and doubt. This is our beginning. The air inside the sanctum was heavy, thick with the weight of rebellion, intimacy, and consequence. Eli's hand remained laced with Zelzari's as they stood before the tribunal's soldiers, their bond still flaring like a second heartbeat. The Queen no longer wore the crown. And still, she stood taller than she ever had. Outside the ship, the sky boiled with thunderclouds and alien warships. The tribunal's fleet hovered like vultures over the desert, ready to strike. But inside this chamber, something far older than politics had taken root. Something not even fear could erase. I no longer answer to your orders, Zelzari said to the lead warrior. What I've done here cannot be undone. The visor split open. A face emerged, worn, cautious, half-shadowed by duty. General Vodun, her cousin. Once trusted. Now sent to destroy her. You've shattered protocol, he said. And risked the survival of our kind for an emotion. Not an emotion, Eli cut in. A choice. Vodun stepped forward. The others did not follow. This human has destabilized you, Vodun said, eyes locked on her. Your mind is compromised. No, she replied softly. My mind is clear for the first time in decades. What you call instability, I call evolution. He hesitated. Just for a heartbeat. But in that pause, truth leaked in. We can't hold them all off, Eli whispered. No, Zelzari said. But we don't need to. She turned and pressed her palm against the sanctum wall. A ripple spread. The ship responded. There's a failsafe, she said. Buried beneath this vessel's core. It was designed to erase biological traces, including bonds. Eli's jaw tightened. You're going to wipe us out? No, she said, eyes flickering like molten stars. I'm going to make them feel what I felt. A hum spread across the ship, a resonant vibration that climbed into their bones. Around them, the walls began to shimmer, echoing with fractured memory. For a moment, every soldier saw what Zelzari had seen. The touch of a human hand. The fire in his voice. The courage in his silence. The grief he buried, and the warmth he gave anyway. They staggered. Some dropped their weapons. Vodun fell to one knee. "What is this?" he gasped. "This is what we denied ourselves," she said. "This is resonance. Not just emotion. Not just pain. But connection." The ship broadcasted their bond, not as data, not as strategy, but as feeling. Above them, in orbit, the Tribunal's flagship flickered with confusion. Their comms were disrupted. Their targeting systems jammed by waves of unfamiliar input: empathy, grief, passion, memory. Humanity. A species they once dismissed as primitive had changed their queen with nothing but presence. Inside, Vodun looked up at his cousin. Something ancient in his posture shifted. "What do you want, Zelzari?" he asked. She stepped forward, unflinching. "I want freedom. For myself. For those who can still choose it." "And him?" She turned to Eli, who met her gaze without flinching. "He is not mine to keep," she said. "But he is the one who showed me I could belong to myself." A silent decision swept through the soldiers. No order was given, but they stepped aside. Eli exhaled slowly. "You sure this is how you wanted it to go?" "No," she said. "But it's how it needed to go." She took his hand again. The heat between them was no longer dangerous, it was anchoring. As they passed through the corridor, the ship transformed. Its lights softened. The walls pulsed slower, less like a war machine, more like a living being released from a long-held breath. By the time they reached the landing bay, the Tribunal's ships were already retreating. Not in fear, but in silence. They had seen enough. The flagship blinked once in orbit. A message. "Return. Your crown is broken. But your flame remains." They didn't speak for a long time. The desert wind swept around them as the ramp lowered. Eli stepped out first, boots crunching over cracked earth. She followed, barefoot. "What now?" he asked. Zelzari looked up at the Earth sky, blue, chaotic, and free. "Now," she said, "we live. Not as symbols. Not as rulers. But as people who dared to feel." Eli smiled faintly. "You still hungry?" She chuckled. "Always." He leaned in, pressing his forehead against hers once more. "Then stay. And let's feed the fire. Together."